Welcome to this Open Security Summit session. I want to give you a quick introduction to what we're doing and what to expect. So all sessions at the Open Security Summit are live streamed or recorded, and we share them for public use. And we publish them on the Open Security Summit YouTube channel, and we highly recommend you to go there and check out these amazing sessions that we already have there from the Current Summit and the training session that happened before. We want you to be involved, share with your network, and please share the Zoom links that exist on the OSS website, which you can find here, and these allow you to log in straight away and see the sessions. We have an amazing content for this week, from CISO to cloud security to CDR to COVID to DevSecOps, and also a number of sessions on other topics which are super critical and important for us to address, including worldly maps, which is a big feature of the summit. And we go every day from 10:30 till 10 o'clock at night. And as you can see, there's something for everybody here. So please be involved, participate, and join us. And just a final comment on openness and respect. At the summit, everything we do is about openness. We share the information, but also we try to release everything that is created under Creative Commons and an open source license. And we expect you to participate, to have mutual respect, to have an objective distance on your comments, and to be very professional. And finally, we put a huge focus on respect. We have a diverse community. This is about respecting everybody's opinion, and we expect nobody to feel discriminated or not comfortable during the sessions. We also support heavily the Black Lives Matter current situation that happened worldwide, because we believe that is super important to reset how we address these important issues in our society. Finally, share your views. Here's the hashtag to use, and we have a Slack environment that you can join from the website homepage and enjoy and learn.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then let us start. I'm giving the floor to Jannik and Robert. You can take sharing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to share my screen.
Seems to be working.
Seems to be working. Great. Okay, hello everybody. Great to have you here today in our session, Deep Dive MultiJuicer. And we'll start with a short introduction, and after that we'll give you a short introduction to the MultiJuicer project and show you a quick demo. And then we'll dive a little bit deeper, and Jannik will give us a more detailed introduction to the MultiJuicer project, how you can install it and what you can do with it and how you can customize it. And we had a session 2 weeks ago where we introduced the project, so we keep this part a little bit shorter today. And yeah, I think let's start. If you have any questions, please just raise your hand, drop us a line in the chat, or just ask if you want, and we're happy to discuss the project and the idea and your ideas together today in this session. Let's start with the introduction. My name is Robert Seedorff, and I'm from Hamburg in Germany. I'm responsible for information security at Iteratec, and I'm also an active OWASP member and maintaining 2 projects. One of them is the MultiJuicer. The second project is the Secure Codebox project. And yeah, Iteratec is a German software development company, and we have about 400 employees, and most of them are developers. And yeah, security is a huge topic for us, and we think if we deliver secure software to our customers, it's important for us and for them, and therefore we try to share a common culture and mindset that secure software development is important. and not that hard as developers often might think. And we use trainings and tools to gain progress here. And developer trainings is the topic for today. And for our trainings, we started to implement our own training sessions and events. We host Capture the Flag events for our developers. And therefore, we implemented the MultiJuicer project, which is really cool. We started with the question, okay, how can we actually train our developers hands-on? And there was one project you all know. I think it's the OWASP Juice Shop, and Björn introduced it today in 2 sessions already. And we also use the Juice Shop and the really cool hacking challenges to train our developers to get a little bit more idea how to deliver and develop secure software. The question was, okay, how can we organize such a training with about, let's say 10 to 50 trainee participants? And the setup is more like that. Every of the participant needs his own juice shop. And the question is, how can we organize it? Because it's not that easy to start a training session and let every participant install the juice shop on their own. And even if we ask them before the session, hey, can you please install the setup before? In our experience, most of them are not ready when the training session starts. And that's why we thought about how can we organize and implement this better. And the result is the MultiJuicer project. Oh, I think I'm on the wrong slides, I think. It's actually the slide deck from the last session.
I was already skeptical when I saw the MultiJuicer introduction, but I didn't want to interrupt you in case I was wrong.
Yeah, okay. Good to know. Maybe I find the other slide deck, hopefully. Deep dive. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry for that. We discussed the different options for a training setup in the last session, and it's also recorded and available at YouTube. Today we just focus on the MultiJuicer option, and it's a really cool because it's a scalable solution for Kubernetes. Here we have a short overview of the architecture. The idea is to spin up isolated juice shop instance for each training participant and each developer. And therefore we implemented our own juice balancer. It's a custom load balancer, which is responsible for the handling of the traffic. Each user in the training session is able to use his own juice shop instance and spin them up when the training starts. And we have also an administration part here because the trainer of the session is also interested in the progress of all attendees, and therefore we use some monitoring features of the juice balancer. And I think we'll just start with a short demo, and I'll show you how this works. And hopefully you can switch here. Yes, seems so. Afterwards, Jannik will show you how to install and the MultiJuicer project and what you can do with it. Here's the MultiJuicer. Actually, it's running now on the GCP. We spin up a small cluster for this session today. It's public, and the first thing is that the MultiJuicer has a little welcome screen, and each team member now, just imagine the security session starts now, needs to just think of a team name. Maybe we can choose Open Security Summit for this session. So they choose a team name and click on Join Team or Create Team. And now the MultiJuicer spin up an isolated new juice shop instance for this team member. And maybe if we are lucky, we can see, you can see the Kubernetes setup and the different pods. And as you can see here, we spin up a new juice shop instance directly for this team member. And actually, I need to switch my browser here a little bit. Yeah, now the juice shop instance is ready and the pod is available, as we might see here. Yeah, perfectly. It's spin up, and now I can start my hacking session, and I'm redirected to the OWASP Juice Shop instance, which is ready for me. As you can see, I already used the Juice Shop to solve some hacking challenges, and they are restored right now from my browser. And yeah, now I can start to use the Juice Shop and find and solve some challenges. And every team member in the security training is now ready to use the Juice Shop. And as an operator, also the training moderator, I'm interested in the progress of the Juice Shop, and therefore we have a second installation of the Grafana Prometheus stack, and this stack is now monitoring each Juice Shop instance in our cluster. And we have built in a nice dashboard where we can see the different teams which are actually running, and you can see we have 3 teams running, and the Open Security Summit team I just created is also available here. And this dashboard gives me an overview that I've solved already 2 challenges of the 1-star and 2-star category. We have some technical information here about the Juice Shop instance, the number of requests, the resources consuming, and the version number. And the second interesting dashboard is the, just switch back here to dashboards. Yep. Overview dashboard. It's more like an aggregated dashboard where we can see the progress of each team at one view. Yep. And now the team is ready and they can start to hack and solve challenges. And in our training environment, we do this more in a hands-on session style. The different team members can start to discuss and yeah, solve challenges. So that was the short demo. And if you're interested in more information about the project, I would recommend the presentations of the last session. And I would now like to hand over to Jannik. Maybe you can introduce yourself just short and just yeah, give us an impression how you can install the MultiJuicer project on your own.
Yeah, let me try to take over the screen. Can you stop sharing? I'm not sure if you can until you do. Okay. Select the correct screen this time. Okay. Says it's recording. Can you see my DigitalOcean dashboard right now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So as Robert already said, I'm Jannik. I also work at Iteratech as a security automation engineer. I try to automate various security aspects in our company, try to keep our services safe and secure. And I would like today to show us how you can set up MultiJuicer. And I'm trying to do something very risky, and I'm hoping it's not going to turn out too stupid, because I would like to basically show the entire process from creating a cluster to installing MultiJuicer. And because creating a cluster can take a couple of minutes, I'm hoping it stays at a couple of minutes and doesn't go on very much longer than that. Just gonna start with it. Kubernetes clusters are basically a commodity provided by most cloud providers. I'm using DigitalOcean here because it's one of the easiest cloud providers to get started, and I think it's the most transparent because it doesn't have too much complicated stuff around it. So I'm just going to go to the control panel and create a cluster in Germany because it's closest to me. Most cloud providers let you select the Kubernetes version. MultiJuicer isn't too picky what the on the Kubernetes version. It should basically run on any of these, but I'm just going to select the newest one. What's relevant is how much computational resources you assign to the cluster. I'm just going to go with the standard cluster here with 3 nodes with 4 gigabytes memory each and 2 CPUs. And I'm just going to name it OSS 2020 so that I can remember it later. And click create. And instead of just staring at the screen for 5 minutes now, I'm just going to go over the different aspect of installing MultiJuicer, which is installing the application itself. MultiJuicer uses a tool which is called Helm. Helm is like a package manager for Kubernetes. If you use the Linux distribution or Mac, it's basically like Homebrew or apt-get, but for Kubernetes. The nice thing is it's let us as the MultiJuicer developers just package up MultiJuicer into a Helm chart. The chart is basically what a Helm calls a package, and push these charts to a registry. And these registries can basically be anything which is a HTTP server. So we're just using, for the project, we're just using the GitHub pages as a registry. And what you need to do to use MultiJuicer, I'm just going to copy it over to my command line here, is run this command, and then it will pull down the registry and add it to your local Helm registry. I've already did it, but it's safe to do it multiple times. So now I have access to the MultiJuicer repository. And the next thing you can just do is just install MultiJuicer by saying Helm install. The first argument is just the name of the package, or I have the name of the installation. And the second one is referencing the chart. This looks a little bit stupid, this line, because it has like MultiJuicer 3 times in it, which seems a little bit excessive, but the first one is just the name of the installation. The second one is the name of the registry, which we also called MultiJuicer, and the third one is the name of the chart. So we just can't keep it much shorter than that without pushing it into a general purpose registry. One other nice thing about Helm is there are some tools around Helm. Let me try if I can open it up now. Yes. This is a pretty new tool, or a pretty new platform around it, which is basically a replacement for Helm Hub, if you've seen it before, which is called Artifact Hub. Artifact Hub just lets you see nearly every Helm package around the world and gives you some, renders out the README inside the Helm chart. And in this case, it gives you like the complete list of config flags which you can set when you're installing it. And if you can see already, there are quite a few of these. Most of these are just Kubernetes specific. So if you're already into Kubernetes and understand how Kubernetes works and how you can configure normal Kubernetes workloads, you can basically handle most of these. But there are also some very JuiceShop specific flags. For example, you can just set the CTF key you're using for your event. If you're hosting a CTF event, you can just set these in the Helm values. And also, if you have like a custom built Juice Shop image, you can also switch it out. You can do a lot of stuff in there. What we're actually going to do in a little bit is changing out the Juice Shop config. If you already attended Björn's, you already know what this config is, and we're just going to steal one of his. Let me just check the cluster for a second. Oh shit. It didn't do much progress on starting. I'm hoping it speeds it up a little bit more. I tested it out this morning and it was way under 5 minutes. Okay. A little bit more into Helm then. Yeah, if you want to install things via Helm, you just, like I've already shown you, you just run Helm install. But you can now also change out all of these values I've just shown you by using the set flag. So if I go back to the artifact hub, I think it's here. You can, as an example, change the way MultiJuicer gets exposed to the internet. By default, if you just install MultiJuicer, it just stays cluster internal. Because the service is set to a cluster IP. What we're going to do in a minute, if DigitalOcean spins up, we're going to switch out the service type to a load balancer. And a load balancer in Kubernetes means that the Kubernetes cluster contacts the cloud provider API to spin up an actual cloud load balancer, which lets me expose this application to the internet. Another look. This looks way better. It should be ready in a minute or two. Okay, nice. So what I did here as an example is just switch out the default balancer service type to be an actual load balancer, in this case, the DigitalOcean load balancer, which will mean that we are getting a proper public IP address, which we can then later use to expose the service to the internet. We can also do a few more things. If you attended Björn's session this morning, he did a lot of work in crafting basically a Open Security Summit specific application JSON or Juice Shop config file for Juice Shop. And one of the things MultiJuicer lets you do is to provide the entire Juice Shop config file, and MultiJuicer will use this config file and inject it into every started Juice Shop instance, which lets you configure the entire application very easily. And it's just like one flag in the config. I've already saved it up here on my file system. It's like the entire thing you already seen in Björn's session if you attended it. I think minus one flag, if you had one flag in here, which customizes the Prometheus metrics to prefix it with something different than Juice Shop. I've taken this out because this will mess with the default Grafana dashboards. But you might not, it's not too important. And if you have like this values file, you can just specify it via values, and Helm will merge it all together to one big config. And I think the cluster's ready. Yes, nice. Okay. So we're going to go into the console right now. And like most cloud providers, DigitalOcean also has a command line. And with a command line, I can just say, okay, DigitalOcean, please get me access to my cluster. It's basically just saying, please give me access to my cluster, which is called OSS 2020. Just going to do it now. And it's updated my kube config and hopefully also set my default kube context. Should see some DigitalOcean nodes right now. Yeah, these look pretty, okay, this is the correct version. This seems to be the cluster. I'm hoping this is not like one of our company's production clusters. I'm pretty sure this is the right one.
We'll see in a minute.
Yeah. So what we're just going to do now is I'm just going to copy out the helm install command from the slides, and I'm hoping the quotation marks aren't wrong, because I think these are like fancy typographical quotation marks. Just going to paste it into my terminal, and yeah, these look wrong. Just going to switch these out, and just well, there's a backslash missing here for the multi-line. Just going to put it. No. The same. Yeah. Just kind of put it in one line, because multi-lines in terminals are always a bit of a hassle. So what I've just hit enter, and Helm is now going to use this chart and push the manifest of this chart against the cluster. And what I should be able to see right now is if I say, I'm just going to use the full name here instead of my fancy aliases. I can just ask Kubernetes what deployments I have, and you can see they are already ready and running. And what you can do to test it out locally, which the Helm notes here also mentioned to you, you can run the kubectl port forward command to forward the cluster internal traffic to your localhost IP address. So if I run it and go to localhost port 3000, yes, we can now just see we can already access the MultiJuicer, even though we didn't really expose it to the internet right now. Okay, maybe we did, because we actually set the service types to load balancer, but we didn't use it yet. You can just check the services, and we have already gotten external IP from the load balancer. So what Kubernetes basically did, it has like a custom DigitalOcean controller running in there, and if you create a load balancer, the controller will then just ask the DigitalOcean API to create an actual DigitalOcean load balancer for us. We can also check this here. Yeah, I think I can see this DigitalOcean load balancer in the DigitalOcean UI, and it has the same address. And if I just now go to the address on port 3000, nope, didn't want to do that. And I think it's not HTTPS ready. We're going to get to that in a minute. I will also see MultiJuicer. This is now already exposed to the internet, but this pretty much because we don't want to expose it with an IP address. But changing this out in DigitalOcean is pretty easy. I have an old domain lying around in DigitalOcean. You may see it. This is a bit of a older name, because this is what the MultiJuicer project was actually called once, but I don't have any other domains lying around in DigitalOcean right now. But what I can do is just go to edit the settings of this load balancer and expose another port to it using HTTPS as a protocol, and just gonna say I want a new certificate for it using this domain. I'm just gonna have to give it a name, choosing a CTF, generate certificate. And it will just generate me a new Let's Encrypt certificate, all managed for me. And still pending, but now it's created. And we have to port forward to the same internal port here. If we do that and save that, we should hopefully be just able to access MultiJuicer using juicy CTF. Just put yes. Shouldn't really be able have to do this, but yeah, it worked. So I can now have already assigned a custom domain to it. It's all using HTTPS, and it's all up and running. So this was basically the entire setup you have to do to set up MultiJuicer. And we can just also try it out if it works. But I'm pretty confident. Just going to create my own team name. And because we've used the values file here, this values file from Björn's session earlier, we should hopefully have like this full custom fancy Open Security Summit theme to access the instance when it started up. Fingers crossed though. What we can also do is just take a look at this instance. We're just going to list out all the pods and see the logs of the pod. And there might be some warnings. Oh, it takes a minute. No, we didn't even get the warnings that Björn got earlier. Basically got lucky probably, unless Björn already fixed it. Ah, no, here's the warning. Still not fixed, Björn. Why is it not fixed? Oh, okay. I
I was just too busy documenting outcomes of the previous sessions.
That's fine. No pressure. Yeah, that basically completely worked. So we now have our Juice Shop instance up and running, and it's also using this custom fancy theme from Björn. Without much of a hassle, and everybody in show people are using with basically installing MultiJuicer is basically installing MultiJuicer. I'm not going to do it here on this cluster because it's going to take a couple of more minutes because it has rules. But we have a pretty comprehensive, or at least I would say pretty comprehensive monitoring guide, which walks you through installing and setting up Grafana and Prometheus. I've just updated the versions a couple of hours ago. So it's also using the newest Grafana 7.0 version, which was released a couple of weeks ago. So it's basically state-of-the-art monitoring stack. And it works pretty nicely. And it also will automatically import this Grafana dashboard, which Robert showed you earlier. I can just open it back up again. Well, it won't import this one because this one is still a work in progress one. This one is coming basically pre-bundled with MultiJuicer, and as long as you install MultiJuicer like described in the monitoring guide setup, you will automatically get this Grafana dashboard out of the box without having to do anything yourself. And we're hoping that we get this other dashboard basically maybe a little bit fancier and also packaged together with MultiJuicer so that you have an overview of every Juice Shop instance running in your cluster. Okay, I think that was basically all I wanted to say about installing MultiJuicer. And we can already take in questions if there were any questions on the installation step. Or if anybody wants to ask some questions right now using the voice channel, that's fine too.
Thank you. So let us see if there are questions from audience.
This is just like a short question round because we have another slide coming up. But if there are no questions on the installation steps, then we're just gonna go to the next slide and then do a general questions round at the end.
I don't see any questions in the chat there.
Okay, then we're just gonna go ahead. Robert, do you want me to continue sharing the screen, or do you want to take over again?
No, I think it's fine if you share your screen. Maybe I think we have a little bit time left. You can share some implementation details how this Kubernetes setup works. Maybe this is interesting too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because MultiJuicer actually is implemented pretty interestingly, at least I would say so, because it's basically a stateful application, so it has to keep track of all these Juice Shop instances. but it doesn't have have anything like a database or anything, and it also doesn't keep its state stored in memory or anything. But it only has one state store, and the state store is Kubernetes itself. So if I go now to my command line again and type in kubectl get deployments, we're going to see basically two deployments which directly belong to MultiJuicer, which is the juice balancer, which is the component we saw earlier, which is also the component through which all juice shop traffic is flowing. And then we have another component, which is a very lean Go service. So it's written in Golang, and it backs up the challenge progress of the juice shop instances, so that if a juice shop crashes, somebody loses the continue code cookie, we can basically restore the progress of the team so that nobody has to lose their progress if something goes wrong. And the third thing which you can see there is just the juice shop instance. And Kubernetes is pretty nice because it lets you store state directly on the deployment. It has basically two ways to do that. One is called annotations and one is called labels. And I can just basically echo out the entire deployment spec here. Say I'm echoing out as YAML. Because all Kubernetes objects have metadata on them. So this deployment, which is the deployment of my team, has a few annotations on there which are set by MultiJuicer. So one thing which is just kept there is how many challenges are solved on this instance. And because I didn't do anything yet, I have no challenge solved. And because I didn't solve any challenge, I also don't have any continue code yet. We can actually change that. Did I already log out? Oh no, it's here. I'm just gonna log in as the administrator, which should get me a challenge solved. One goes one. So just using a SQL injection, and I think Björn has the challenge notifications turned off in this. So I'm just gonna go to the scoreboard to verify if I've solved the challenge. Okay, I have two challenges solved now because accessing this scoreboard will also get you a challenge solved. And if I now run this again, so I get my deployment again, with a bit of luck, yes, I already have, the deployment was already relabeled. So the progress watchdog already detected that there was a change and updated the annotations on the deployment. And because there's what the progress watchdog will also do, it will get the continue code and save it on the deployment. So if the deployment crashes, we can just restart the deployment and reapply the continue code. Another nice thing, which actually not the progress watchdog will do, but the juice balancer will do, is keep track when the last request has come in for this instance. So what this lets us do is find instances which haven't been used for a while. So if somebody starts an instance but never uses it, we can see that this instance wasn't used for, let's just say, 24 hours, and just shut down every instance which wasn't used for a while, which saves us some computational costs because we don't really have to keep these instances running when they're never used. And the last thing, which is just stored here, is the hash of the passcode, which is automatically generated for the team in form of a 12 rounds. So I'm pretty confident that I can just show it here without anybody guessing this passcode. Should not be a problem. Yeah, this is basically all state that MultiJuicer stores directly kept at the deployment. So you don't have to install yourself a database client to inspect the state of the MultiJuicer, because the MultiJuicer state lives directly in Kubernetes.
Jannik, sorry to interrupt. There are some technical problems. Might be you can check the chat. Might be you need to adjust the screen. People are saying that they are not seeing correctly, though I see some.
Part of the screen was kind of glitching out a bit, so that we couldn't really see all of what you were doing.
Okay.
And then we have the slide much larger than the rest of what you're doing. So
I think it seems to be a Zoom problem or something like that, because I also have audio problems. Some of your talk is not hearable for me.
And now, is it okay? Just this moment, we can recap.
No, at this moment, I'm on the left-hand screen. I see part of the running juice shop. On the right side, I see the slides, and on top of both is the console Jannik is working in. So it's like a mix of.
And then the console ends up splitting into pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you just stop and restart screen sharing. Maybe that helps.
Okay, let me try. It's weird because I don't have the slides open at all.
That is weird. Is someone else sharing screen that has slides?
No, only one person can share.
It's a presentation within the presentation. It's like subconsciously implanted.
Right.
Okay, I've clicked to share again.
This looks much better.
Okay. Because I also have like this preview window, and this looks fine for me, and it also looked fine a minute ago. It's maybe just like really weird screen sharing artifacts. Maybe my bandwidth doesn't keep up. Okay. Should I repeat anything, or was it still clear even though we had some audio and technical problems there?
Might be you can do some recap of what you said, just to make sure that it is clear for everyone, and also for others who will watch later.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, basically as a recap, what we can do as MultiJuicer is use the Kubernetes metadata to store the state of MultiJuicer itself without having like a second database. And we can just keep all of the state in Kubernetes itself. So the deployments carry all of the deployment of a team contains all the information about the team itself. And because we can just keep it there, we don't need to install like a second database, like a MySQL, like or a Redis instance, and just keep it all in Kubernetes, which is also nice because we can just now debug it and see everything that Kubernetes and MultiJuicer knows about this instance in one view without consulting a secondary source. Yeah, this just all stored in the annotations. It also makes it very easy to install. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and go back to the slides, to one, like the last content slide we have, and hand it over to Robert, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully everyone can see the slide now.
I will try to maximize it and just scream if it doesn't work.
Yes, seems to work for me. Yeah, we just gathered some ideas and feature requests, and on our last slide, we would like to discuss them with you. I will go through the points here, and if you have any ideas, feedback, and wishes, just feel free to discuss your ideas with us. The first point here is long-running multi-juicer setups. As Jannik already mentioned, we spin up juice shop instances on demand and use these instances during our security trainings. Normally our security trainings last for about 1 day, and after that every juice shop instance will be cleaned up and the infrastructure is also destroyed. And we have some participants that want to train after the real security training for a longer time, and that's why we think about the possibility: how can we set up the multi-juicer setup in a way that it can be set up in a long-running setup. One important thing here is the juice shop also consumes resources, and if you have a huge setup with 10 to let's say 100 multi-juicer instances in parallel, that will cost a lot of cloud memory and CPU resources, and that's why we think of an option here to scale down instances that are not used during the period of time, maybe some days, and scale down the complete setup. The cool thing is that Kubernetes already helps us here to implement such a feature, because pods have the auto-scaling feature and the Kubernetes cluster also. And one idea here is to use these features to implement a more long-running multi-juicer setup. What do you think about such an idea? Just a question to the other participants. Maybe, are you interested in something like that? Or are you more like our trainings, or where we set up the complete stack for one day and destroy it afterwards?
Just thinking about those options here. Sorry.
No problem.
The really nice thing about this is, especially during the COVID times right now, in-person trainings are pretty much impossible at the moment, because they're just way too risky. Especially doing a security training which compromises basically the health security of the attendees would not be so nice. So we are also looking in the company to switch our security trainings to be more remote, and this would definitely help, because we just not only keep them remote but also keep them asynchronous, so that people can just train whenever they have time to do it, and we can still monitor the progress and maybe help them out, and help them out. Just help them out with questions on what they want to do, and we can also help them out by running the juice shops for them, which I think is a pretty nice service and pretty good opportunity.
I think that's awesome. Would there be like a price for having them monitored for you, or would it be something that would be kind of how would that work exactly?
Yeah, this depends a little bit on how you're using it. MultiJuicer is completely open source, and everything, nothing costs a cent. But we're a development company, so if you're interested in having commercial support or anything for it, we are always for hire. So if somebody's interested in that, they can just send us a message. But if you are comfortable and able to run Kubernetes applications, there's no problems in running it yourself, because it's all open source anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And the other 2 points following here on the slide are also going in this direction, to organize a more virtual security training. And if you do so, you need some more hands-on material and learning stuff. You can think of somehow of a learning path, and we think the OWASP already have a lot of interesting and useful information about secure software development, and the OWASP top 10 and the cheat sheets and the stuff like that. And we are thinking about improving the setup maybe in such a direction where we can use these materials in a more virtual security training, and to make it accessible more easily for each participant in the training. That's more or less the idea here. And
maybe just one comment on that, because I really like the idea of having additional training materials available, but that might actually get overlapping with the security knowledge framework project. That's also from OWASP, right? Because they already have like a framework where you can see different vulnerabilities explained and prevention mechanisms, and you also they start adding, or they already have like learning labs that you can launch from their platform. So
Okay,
maybe it's worth at least looking at that,
Yeah,
so
sure.
that you don't create something that already exists in a different project.
Yeah, it's good to know. We'll have a look at
Or
that.
you just
Maybe
join
it's-
efforts, maybe. That maybe, I
Yes.
mean, maybe I know that they are also using Kubernetes in the background to spin up stuff,
Nice.
and they also started spinning up Juice Shop instances now with the click of a button. But
Okay, cool.
maybe they want to use MultiJuicer in the background, for example.
Yeah, I think a collaborative effort would be awesome, because you don't want to limit the experience or the education that can be given
Exactly.
because of what
Yeah.
another project is doing. Instead, you want to kind of figure out ways that you can expand each other and help each other.
Yeah, the ideal
like that.
case would just be that we would be able to just link to these resources to give people using MultiJuicer an easier intro to get to these resources and get them an overview.
Yeah. And yeah, there's also the tutorial implementation in the Juice Shop itself. Maybe it's a good idea to think about how we can combine the different endpoints here.
And also maybe it might also be something to improve the Juice shop itself. So
Yes.
at the moment we don't have any links from the hacking categories, for example, to some documentation. But this could also be added, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely interested in being able to learn more about this and being able to participate more as well. It's an awesome project.
Cool. Yeah, I think we will investigate time in this direction and see how we can reuse combine the projects there. If you're interested, feel free to drop us a line or just contribute to the project, or we are also available at Slack. Just don't hesitate to contact us. Maybe here's two other ideas here to improve the MultiJuicer project also. On the one hand side, the idea to add something like white labeling for the MultiJuicer UI itself. Jannik showed the customization features of the Juice Shop, and they are really amazing, so that we saw the Open Security Summit theme Björn introduced, and we think it's also a good idea to have some customization capabilities for the MultiJuicer UI itself, and that's also one point we would like to improve in the next future releases. And the last point is more like a enterprise company feature. It would be cool to use some open authentication protocols like OpenID Connect to create the Juice Shop team setup for one-person training based on the on your user account. If companies use protocols like OpenID Connect, and we were able to combine the single sign-on features with the MultiJuicer, it would be possible to enable each employee to have his own Juice Shop instance based on the MultiJuicer setup. It's also, I think,
my screen just went black. Can you just see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. If it's the slide.
Yeah, it should still be the slide. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Just got panicked there for a second.
It's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all. We thought about the possible features and improvements for the MultiJuicer project, but that's just our side or our point of view. Maybe you have another point or ideas. Feel free to share with us. Maybe a question, has anybody already tried out the MultiJuicer?
Yes.
Great.
And it works. It works perfectly.
Amazing.
Even on an old OpenShift version. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it works perfectly. I trust on it. Unfortunately, I'm not technical person to try these kind of things. I need some training for that. So, okay. So, any other questions? Do you have anything else to add, or yes?
No, we're finished.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got this one last slide on the things the participants here can now do. We've brought up a few of these already. The most obvious thing you can do is just to try it out yourself. It's pretty easy to install, at least I would hope so. If it's not, drop us a line. We would love to know what are the hurdles in setting it up for yourself. If you're using some cloud provider, we have guides for most of the big public cloud providers out there. You will just find these if you browse to the repo, and it should walk you through how to create the cluster and also install MultiJuicer, and also how to expose MultiJuicer to the internet or your local company internet network, whatever. What we would also like to see is more people to start the repo, so that we just know that it's still relevant and that people are using it. And if you're running into issue, we keep track of the issue tracker on GitHub. So we would love to see reports there if something goes wrong, so that we can fix it. And if you have the case that you are trying to install MultiJuicer, but you don't find a guide for favorite cloud provider of your choice, and you are an expert in this cloud provider, or just know how to get around it, we would really love to see you write setup guides for this and pull request it to the MultiJuicer repository, so that we can just point people to the setup guides. And of course, we would also always like to hear your feedback and experience, both on this talk and MultiJuicer itself. If you have made some experiences in your company on how you're using MultiJuicer, we as the community would really like to hear about it, to all learn together and get better at security together. Okay, so that was basically everything from our side. Thank you very much for listening. It was from me and from Robert.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. But we forgot one thing. We should debrief of the all the session. If you can give just a summary of all what you discussed in some like up to 5 minutes, just debrief, because end of the session should be debrief. If you can, please.
Yeah, so what we did today is we took a look at MultiJuicer. MultiJuicer is a multi-user platform for OWASP Juice Shop. And it lets you run security trainings with more than one person. So basically every security training out there in a completely managed fashion on a central Kubernetes cluster. And what we shown today and what we looked at it together is what it is. So we took a look at a demo. We also seen some of its capability when it comes to monitoring. And what I hope you've all seen and learned today is how to set it up on an example DigitalOcean cloud provider provided Kubernetes cluster, and seen how you can install it using Helm, and also how to customize it, and that MultiJuicer basically lets you change every config that Juice Shop lets you change. So you can customize everything from Juice Shop through the MultiJuicer interface. So using the Helm values, which is also ties nicely together with Björn's session from earlier this morning. So everything you learned there also still applies to MultiJuicer, because all of these conflict flags are still valid and work very nicely together with MultiJuicer to configure the Juice Shop instances for the participants. And what we then also did is we took a look at the future of MultiJuicer. So which features are up and coming, which features are interesting to the community, and which features are especially needed during these Corona times, where people can't come together and do in-person trainings anymore, but need to be distributed over the world to their own home offices and still be able to learn about security. This was just this on top of my head. Robert, do you have anything to add?
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for doing this, the recap.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Great session and nice, productive communication. So I hope to meet you in other sessions because I will be hosting other sessions as well. And follow our summit. There will be a lot of upcoming sessions following days. And we have just this week, so not lose the opportunity. So see you, and I will switch off the recording.